Okay, so I hope you had a good 5-minute break. We are back and we're going to talk about creating volume with pin curls. So you can use pin curls to not only create curls and waves, but you can do them to create volume. This is ideal for clients that don't want a lot of chemicals in their hair. They're, I don't want a hairspray, I don't want this, and da-da-da. Usually the mature client wants this. So we'll do that for the mature client. It's also good on your friends if you have friends and you want to do like a vintage party or a vintage look. So for creating volume with pin curls, two types of pin curls that are particularly effective for adding volume are cascade curls, also known as stand-up curls. They are used to create height in the hair design. They are fastened to the head in a standing position to allow the hair to flow upward and downward. The size of the curl determines the amount of height in the comb out. So if you do a good section with a decent amount of hair, you're going to get a lot of volume in that. Smaller one might come out a little funky looking. This is something you'll kind of learn when you're practicing. With barrel curls, it's important to know that, before I forget, barrel curls will give you similar effects to a roller and it will give you some volume, but the roller is really good if you want controlled volume because you have something to secure the hair to and dry it to. So the product you use will also affect this. If you're using a very thick gel, it's very hard to get volume, so thin it out or do more of a mousse and that might give you a nicer effect. Take a look at some of the pictures they give you in the book and in this chapter. So roller curls are the next one. I love doing rollers. Rollers are important to learn because they give you the foundations of how to wrap a perm. So we're not the perm chapter, but this will help build on the foundation of that. This is where you're going to start making the connections between sectioning, placing it, getting the correct section. How much hair to put in the roller. You don't want too little, too much. It will help you with your comb outs, it'll help you get control, and it will also help you be able to better use a curling iron. Rollers are used to create many of the same effect as stand-up pin curls. Rollers have the following advantage over pin curls. Because roller holds the equivalent of 2 to 4 stand-up curls, the roller is a much faster way to set the hair. So in the salon, time is money. You can easily go like that, wrap the hair in rollers quickly, sit them under a dryer, as opposed to doing the pin curls. The hair is wrapped around the roller with tension, which gives a stronger and longer lasting set. Rollers come in a variety of shapes, widths, and sizes, which broadens the creative possibilities for any style. There are triangular rollers, there's concave rollers. Pivot Point is such a great resource and I highly recommend looking into them during cosmetology school and after cosmetology school for continuing education. They use special convex and rollers. The book does not go into how to do a roller set in detail like the older versions of My Lady do. My mom's book from the 90s had like all kinds of rollers and they had a whole chapter just designated for wet styling. That's how popular it was back in the 90s. Not so much now. A lot of your clients are going to be doing curling iron sets anyway. I know that my cosmetology teacher, she had one client who's in her 90s. Pretty awesome client, by the way. Client was in her 90s, drove on her own. She had more hair in her head than anyone that you could ever imagine from what I've heard. And she actually just kept that roller set just for her. She wanted her hair permed and set in a particular way. So know that the parts of a roller curl have a very similar anatomy. They have a base, stem, and circle. The base is going to be the panel of hair to which the roller is placed. The base should be the same length and width as the roller. The type of base affects the volume. So if you're doing bigger rollers, you tend to be more for volume as opposed to curl. Smaller, tighter roller will give you more curls and waves. You'll comb out. Know that the diameter of the roller is important. You're going to take that roller and put it to the hair like this, measure it out. That determines your base section. The stem is the hair between the scalp and the first turn of the roller. The stem gives the hair direction and mobility. So when I have the, let's say this is my roller, this is going to be my base section right here. That hair that's just starting to leave that scalp and wind around the roller, that's going to be my stem. And the circle is everything that is wrapped around the roller. The curl is also known as the circle. Given the hair that is wrapped around the roller, it determines the size and wave or curl. And this depends on a lot of things, and this also is the same for perming hair. Because when you choose the roller size, it's important to know how many times the hair wraps around it. So for example, the relationship between your length of the hair and size of the roller determines whether the hair will be a C shape, a wave, or a curl. 1 complete turn around the roller creates a C shape. 1.5 turns will create a wave. 2.5 turns will create curls. So C shapes are really good for volume. If you comb them out, it's good for fashion haircuts, older clients. I know a lot of salons that are ethnic salons and do like pressing and wet styling. I saw a woman who was at the state board when I took it, and she had relaxed hair, but it was really cool. So she had like, looked like she had relaxed the first part or pressed it, and then she had shorter hair. So what she did was she took, it looked like rollers, and when she styled them, they all came to this really cool, it almost looked like a, I don't want to say like a parrot, it's not the right word, it was really neat. She had colored hair too, where she like, I think she even like spray colored it or used temporary color. I don't know how she did it, but it was like these really cool C shapes, and the texture was like unlike anything you've ever seen. It was that amazing. So also, you want to know that you can place your rollers on base, half base, and off base. The amount of volume you achieve depends on the size of the roller and how it sits in the base. The general rule of thumb is that the larger the roller, the greater volume. So on base, also known as full base, for full volume, the roller sits directly on its base. You over direct the hair higher than 90 degrees, almost like that 180. So if this is 90 degrees, you're going to over direct it like that and then wrap it around. The strand, if you over direct the hair higher than 90 degrees, the strand slightly in front of the base, and roll the hair down to the base. The roller should fit on the base. Half base. For medium volume, the roller sits halfway on the base and halfway behind the base. Hold the hair straight up 90 degrees from the head and wind the hair down. Off base. For least volume, the roller sits completely off base. Hold the strand 45 degrees from the base and roll the hair down. This is takes time and practice, and you can create your own custom design with this. You don't have to do everything or volume. You can do some volume up here and maybe some off base. Know that roller direction is important. The placement of rollers in the head follows the movement of the finished style. For versatility in styling, downward direction of the wrap gives options in style of all direction. There's under, out, forward, or back while still maintaining volume. To reduce volume, bringing movement closer to the head, use indentation curl placement. So indentation is the point where curls of opposite directions meet, forming a recessed area. This is often found in flip styles or bang styles, also called fringes, with a dip or wave movement. Indentation can be achieved using rollers, curling irons, or round brush. So follow the procedure on the wet set rollers. Also know that back in the day, if you ever go to an antique store, ask if they have any vintage hair books, because they're so cool. Or even order a book on vintage hairstyling. There's a lot of good classics out there. When you're doing rollers, think about like back in the day, they didn't have hot irons like we do now. So what happens is you would have to find the parting of the hair, how it falls, get everything neatly set with the rollers, then comb it out. Now we can easily go to the, go to our cupboard, get our flat iron, clip, straighten it to get the same effect. But you also lose some of the volume when you're flat ironing hair. So have some appreciation for what a lot of these older stylists went through. At one of my recent talks, I chatted with an older stylist. She's been in the industry for many years, great wealth of knowledge, and she said, back in my day when I did this, it was all about styling. It was all about like getting the really cool look, and it was strictly styling. The looks were elegant and big. Now she was impressed. She likes our trends now. We have curling wands and all that. So also know too that when you're doing rollers, you can also do hot rollers or Velcro rollers. My personal favorite rollers are steam rollers. So when you're using hot tools like hot rollers, you're gonna get a different look. Hot rollers are meant to be used only on dry hair. The reason being, if you try to use hot rollers on wet or damp hair, you're gonna either ruin your product or you'll hear it going tss. What that's doing is actually gonna be doing more damage to your hair. So what I recommend is when you're doing hot rollers, if you want a lot of volume, shampoo, condition the hair, blow the hair out with a volumizing product, quickly get it all dry, and then section it out. Put some heat protectant in there because you are using heat, and heat does damage hair, so put some heat protectant that also helps the hair stay held in place. So hot rollers are heated either electrically or by steam, and they're a great time saver in the salon because you don't want to, if you have someone come in with clean hair, they wash hair at home, you can easily use hot rollers. You don't have to use the wet sets. Follow the same setting patterns with wet setting, but allow the hot roller to stay on the hair for about 10 minutes or longer. A thermal protector can be sprayed on the hair before setting. The result is a curl that is weaker than a wet set curl, but stronger and longer lasting than can be achieved with a hot curling iron. Spray-on products are available to get a longer set, like a hairspray. Now the other type of roller you can have if you're not going to do it on wet hair is a Velcro roller. And be aware that a lot of states do not allow Velcro rollers, even though we use them anyway. a lot of salons use them. They sell them in states that don't allow them. They have their purpose. Clients can use them at home if you're teaching them how to use them. The purpose of them is they hold the hair in place. They give you some volume. So make sure you check with your regulatory agencies before you purchase them in the salon. They are not allowed because in certain states, because they're difficult to clean and disinfect properly. Like hot rollers, Velcro rollers are only used in dry hair. Using them on wet hair will snag and pull the hair, and you'll have to probably cut them out. Don't do it. Also be aware that I don't recommend Velcro rollers that are smaller on super long hair, because if you try to do that, you're gonna knot the hair up and not be able to get it out. If the client has bleached, permed, or colored hair, I do not recommend using Velcro rollers, especially on bleached and permed hair. If the color hair is healthy, do it at your own discretion. The reason being is that the hair that's chemically treated is more fragile, and what happens is, think of bleached hair as like a fabric. Your hair is like a fabric. Take your best, and don't do this, hypothetically, take your best silk garment, whether it be a silk dress or silk scarf, take your Velcro roller and vigorously rub it, see what happens. You'll destroy your best article of clothing. That's what a Velcro roller will do to your hair that is fragile. So treat your hair like a fabric. So Velcro rollers are ideal if you have a client that needs more body than can be achieved with a round brush, but less volume than a hot roller or a wet set. Try Velcro rollers. When used after blow drying, Velcro rollers will provide just the amount of volume you need. So blow dry the hair, then apply the Velcro roller. They only need to stay in the hair for only 5 to 10 minutes, depending on how much set you want in the hair. Follow the same setting patterns as you would with wet setting, but keep in mind that no clipping is necessary to secure the roller. Because the Velcro fabric sticks on itself, Velcro is actually inspired by little plant hooks. You know those plants, if you have a dog, you'll go out in the forest and the dog comes back with them, stuck on them? Those little hooks are what inspired Velcro. So they will snag in the head, and just be very mindful of that. So after you take the, so what you can do then is you mist the entire head with hairspray, and then place the client under a hooded dryer for 5 to 10 minutes, or use the diffuser. So with the roller in the head, what you want to do is, hairspray is going to be your friend with this. Blow dry the hair, put the Velcro rollers in, mist the hair with hairspray, put the client with the Velcro rollers under a hooded dryer, or use a diffuser attachment to get an even source of heat. Or you can get a portable one where it looks like a little bag and it inflates the thing. You can get a portable one at home if you're doing this at home. There's all kinds of different dryers. Some cosmetology kits have one that goes over the hood of your dryer and it inflates. So 5 to 10 minutes, dry the hair with the Velcro rollers in them, and then take it out. For an even, softer look, do not apply heat after the rollers are put in. Simply have your client sit for a few minutes. This would be a good time to instruct your client on how she can repeat this at home to maintain the style. You always want to remove any hair from Velcro rollers or electric rollers after use. I know for the steam rollers it's challenging. You don't want to put them under water because that will ruin the foam. So just make sure you're being clean about getting everything off of it. And plus, usually the heat is always enough to kill anything. It's like a hair, you're not going to take a hot iron and then clean it. Know that hot rollers can get hot, so if your client complains about them being too hot, adjust it for them. So there are different comb out techniques. Comb outs are very important. They're how you're going to put everything together. You're not going to take the client's rollers out and leave these big rolls in the hair. That won't look good. A good set leads to a good comb out. For successful finishes, you want to learn how to do comb outs correctly. Watch your Studio Luma, look up YouTube videos, practice this in your mannequin. So now you want to become familiar with backcombing and backbrushing techniques. They're very important to know. Know that clients of various ages and different areas around the states, they all have their own terms. Backcombing is also called teasing, ratting, matting, or French lacing. So that's backcombing. They involve combing the hair in small sections of the hair from ends toward the scalp, causing shorter hair to mat at the scalp, forming a cushion or base. So you're holding the hair up like this, and you're teasing a little cushion into the scalp. Those shorter hairs are going to make a little mat. What you want to do is, before you shampoo a client that has this, you want to make sure you're going in there and getting it out of the hair. Otherwise, if you wet the hair like that, it'll create a mess, and that could damage the hair. This is why I don't like doing balayage with teasing. So we'll talk about that later if I ever do an advanced video on coloring. Backbrushing is also known as roughing, and it's used to build a soft cushion to mesh 2 or more curl patterns together for a uniform smooth comb out. Here's a little fun hair history. During the 50s and 60s, women typically had their hair wet set and combed out, and the set would last an entire week with backcombing and backbrushing. Now these techniques are often used for styling updos or for adding a little extra height to a hairstyle after a hot roller setting or blow drying. So one of the things I'll say too is that, remember the 50s and 60s, typically the traditional housewife was at home. She was taking care of her kids, cooking, getting a martini ready for her husband. She also had a lot of extra time. She'd go out to the salon, get her hair done, maybe cover up some grays. She had the time for this. Now, typically, during the working hours, because men and women both work, it's very hard to have someone come in the salon unless you live in a more of a lavish area and you have men and women that come in because they're working from home or all that. The women of the 50s and 60s were able to go in and it was, they can get their hair done a lot. It was cheaper. Now we don't really see that. When we're doing these techniques, they typically are for prom hairstyles, wedding hairstyles, formal events, dancing competitions, even cheerleading competitions. That's where we'll see our techniques of comb outs being used. If you do wedding hair, you have to become very familiar with this. So for the backcombing technique, read this. I'll do a separate video at this when I finish the theory. Pretty much you're gonna pick your section up, tease it. You will have to do backcombing or teasing for your state board if you have a state that has a practical. The backbrushing technique, that's a little bit different. I'll explain that in a whole different video, so read that in your book. Hair wrapping. Hair wrapping is really fun. This is a technique used to keep curly hair smooth and straight while retaining a beautiful shape. You're using the head as a big roller, so you're taking the hair, wrapping it around, obviously not this messy, but you're wrapping it around and then you're pinning it, drying it, taking it down, wrapping it in the other direction, pinning it, and then drying it again. It's very similar to getting a smoothed effect as blowout and rollers, but you're gonna get less volume because you're using the hair to get it. I know a lot of Dominican and ethnic salons do this. My one friend, Lisette, she used to call them getting like doobies or something. I forgot how they have another name for it. I think it's doobies, where you wrap it around the hair. And you have to also maintain this. When you sleep at night, you'll have to pin your hair up, maybe get a big roller for up top and then pin it into place. Know that wrapping can be done on wet or dry hair. On curly hair, wet wrapping creates a smooth, sleek look. When working with very curly hair, you're gonna wanna press it first or flat iron it first before doing this, because you might get a bit of a kink at the root. So it's a really fun procedure. Check out some hair wrapping and how to do it. Practice on your friends. Everyone always gets shocked to learn this. I was shocked when I learned this as a college student because I've never heard of it before, but they definitely do it in the salons. So what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna give you guys a 5-minute break because that was a lot of info. Take a break, and when we get back, we're gonna delve into blow drying, some products, brushes, and we might touch upon thermal styling if we have time.